House Ways and Means Committee hearing earlier today. Ohio Congressman and Dr. Brad Wenstrup sits on that committee, and he joins us now. Good to have a congressman who's also a doctor, so you know about what's going on. That said, there's an article that just came out, both in the New York Times and the Washington Post. They're almost identical articles, and they talk about a federal whistleblower. I just want to get your reaction to this. I'll quote from the article. Federal health employees interacted with Americans quarantined for possible exposure to the coronavirus without proper medical training or protective gear, and then they scattered into the general population. This, according to a government whistleblower. Can you tell us any more about this, Congressman?
No, I'm hearing it just as you are right now, and I think that it's something to take seriously and look into. I will say this, when it comes to the personal protective equipment, you know, that is a concern we have going forward, is do we have enough supply to make sure that we can be as cautious as we can? I think that that's something that's emergent for us to be taking a look at. But I also would want to say that, too, if those that you suspect to be infected or are infected, it is more imperative, if you only have one mask, it's more imperative that they wear the mask. And because this is spread, we understand or seem to believe that it's through droplets, which would be like sneezing and coughing, etc. So we'll have to look into that, and we'll see what the case may be. I would say that I think Secretary Azar was very fair and forthright with what he had to say. You know, these things are challenging to the medical community. There's no doubt about it. This is a new virus. Viruses can be very strong, and very often it takes time to come up with a vaccine, but also antivirals. And the numbers are going down in China, and from what I understand, they just tested an antiviral in the last day or so.
Congressman, Christina Partsinevelos here. You just mentioned masks and how important they are, and we know that even trending are that image of all the people and their beards and what type of beards and facial hair is appropriate. But what do we say to the point that they're sold out across the country? Florida, there's nothing. You can't find anything in New York. The fact that Amazon has to send a letter of warning to its sellers not to increase prices. Is there anything that the administration should be doing to make sure that everybody does have access to just the basic mask?
Well, one of the things that I think that the administration should be doing is something that this administration has been doing, and that's bringing more production back into the United States of America, especially when it involves something I consider health, you know, part of our defense apparatus in America too. And so if we're not producing masks in the United States of America and we're relying on a foreign entity to produce them, that's something we have to look at. Look, we have debates in Congress about who makes our running shoes for our troops and that they should be made in America. You know, we've got to take a look at all these types of things and to make sure that we can take care of ourselves whenever the situation arises.
Congressman, thanks for joining us tonight. There's been a real politicization of this entire episode, and in particular about the amount of money that the administration is requesting. Do you have a view on, are they on the right track? Is $2.5 billion right? Is Schumer right with $8 billion? I mean, what is your view based on the presentations you've seen?
Well, I don't think anyone can sit here and say what is the exact amount needed, because it's going to take some conversation to decide exactly how we spend it. But that doesn't mean we can't go back to the well and try and get more funding if we need it. At this time, one of the biggest things we have to do is on prevention. And as far as the politicalization, it does bother me, because this is a human situation. This is an American situation. This is all of us. And guess what? That virus is not the least bit intimidated by political talk. And so it doesn't do us any good to be doing that rather than coming up with solutions and making sure we're doing the best we can. You know, our military's done a good job in Korea, and I think that's something to look at. The thing is, when you're talking about military, you've got a captive audience. Your potential victims are people in uniform, and you can control their movements, and we have been doing that. We've had one soldier in Korea, and look at the numbers that are in Korea. So, you know, we're doing a good job there, but the tough part is translating that to the entire United States of America.
Congressman, just to put a finer point on something that Liz was talking about, the politicization of the virus, if you don't mind me using that word. Nancy Pelosi had a press conversation. It's to a lot of people, it epitomized what we're talking about. Let me play that and get your reaction.
Sure.
The United States government must address the spread of this deadly coronavirus in a smart, strategic, and serious way. We stand ready to work in a bipartisan fashion in Congress and with the administration. This is not a time for name-calling. or playing politics. The Trump administration has mounted an opaque and often chaotic response to this outbreak. The president cannot transfer any of these new funds to anything other than use for the coronavirus threat.
So, Congressman, she says it's not a time for name calling, and then she says that Donald Trump is incompetent and chaotic.
Yeah, it took about 2 seconds to make that transition, didn't it? I find that striking and certainly self-defeating of her own point. Look, this is the same CDC that we had under the Obama administration, right? These are agencies that hopefully we can trust. Obviously, in the last couple of years, we've had some distrust in certain agencies, but the CDC, the FDA, HHS are all going to be working to protect American lives and to try and improve American lives, keep us safe, and be able to treat those that need care and to limit the spread of this problem. There's no way that any one of the people in these entities want to make politics out of this. They want to make sure that America is safe. And you know, you were talking earlier too about the stock market and this and that. I think that that's normal. The stock market always reacts when there's something, whether it's an earthquake, a tornado. It can be a lot of things that they react to. And you know, we're pretty tough. We tend to bounce back, and I think we will. And we're seeing positive signs in China, which you just reported on.
We did indeed. Congressman Wenstrup, great to have you here again. Please come back and see us.
You bet.
Well, the Trump administration